Hi folks, my name is Hein. I'm from Shutter Exposures. Welcome to the very first car review, in this case a bakkie review. Yes, in South Africa we have the slang and the privilege to call these bakkies and not trucks like some folks do. But this Peugeot Landtrek been given to us to test and do a review and give you the lowdown on the Peugeot Landtrek 1.9 diesel turbo. So we're going to take you through a few features on the vehicle while we're busy driving. So I think it's best for you to come along and take a drive with me, and let's see what this bakkie can do. Come along. I'm not going to give you every single detail about this bakkie. I feel it's very important for you to experience it firsthand. And for that, you need to go and visit CMH Peugeot in Schlanga. Go speak to Elton, Paul, and let them take you for a drive. You take this vehicle for a drive yourself and look at the build quality. And in my opinion, the build quality of this Peugeot Landtrek 1.9 diesel turbo is it's really solid. I mean, the bonnet itself, that thing is heavy. I'm sure that they've got some reinforcement in there that makes it really strong, so should you have some impact from the front, that will really help you protect you as well from impact from the front. But everything else around the bakkie as well is solid. Now this Landtrek, some would say, yes, this is Peugeot's attempt to get into the same category or market or audience for that Toyota Hilux and Ford Ranger and P Series and so on have been operating in for quite a while. And I must say, for Peugeot to bring out this Landtrek bakkie, the finishing around the vehicle itself is solid. You can see the build quality, the gaps, even when the bonnet meets the body, the gaps are even. So the feel of the body itself is really quite solid, I must say. My first impressions on the Landtrek is that the build quality, the shape of the bakkie. I wish you can't call it a bakkie, because it's not a bakkie. It's something a little bit bigger than a bakkie. If you think of a bakkie, you might think of the little Nissan 1400 bakkie. That's a bakkie. Anyway, the build quality is quite nice. It's a solid vehicle. I can't fault anything on the build quality, the shape or form of the vehicle, the way it looks really nice. The grille in the front, the back, the lid in the back of the bin, the stock mag wheels that it comes with this particular model. I can really not fault this vehicle in any way. Even the drive quality, we'll get to that a little bit later. But even the sitting inside the vehicle and the comfort and the position of the driver can be fully adjusted with your seats as far as forward movement is concerned. Also, you can adjust the comfort of your lower back. All right, so we're on road between Hillcrest and Durban. And I thought, well, let me rather talk to you while I'm busy on some sort of a freeway and on a dirt road. Otherwise, it might sound like I've got some sort of a shake in my voice. But just to highlight a few things that I really like about this bakkie, or about the Landtrek. I'm going to stop calling it a bakkie because it's just a bit bigger than a bakkie. Is the fact that my comfort as a driver, really nice, small things. For instance, putting my arm here is just in the right position. Okay, I'm about 6'2", so my arm goes really comfortable on that side. Even the armrest in the middle here, you don't have to reach far down, just sitting in this kind of position. It's really nice and comfortable if you are one of those guys driving like you're on a couch at home watching TV. but really the position is quite nice. The seats can also be adjusted, slightly forward or back, and also for your lower back, there's quite a nice adjustment where you can bring the lower back side of the seat out so it supports your lower back, especially for longer trips when you get out of the vehicle and you're refueling and you feel that you need a gyro. In this case, that support there is really, really nice. The rest, headspace above my head, that's about a 10 centimeter or 100 mil clearance. Also remember that I said I'm about 6'2". The rest, as far as road handling is concerned, we're going to go through a few bends now. And I really found this morning coming up to Hillcrest, that's hardly any, if any, cage roll or body roll. And I'm on eco mode now. In other words, it's the gears are nice and long, and it really helps with your fuel economy, especially if you also set the drive to two-wheel high gear. That's your normal operating gearing on freeways. And you also have your four-wheel high gear for average off-road driving. And then you also have your four-wheel low gear, and you have diff lock. So really, those features, hopefully we'll be able to show you one or two of those features in action, so you can really see how the technology that Peugeot has put into this Landtrek really adds value to your experience in the vehicle. And I also think that Peugeot has done a very good job, in my opinion. And I wasn't born yesterday, so I've been through a number of vehicles in my life. And as far as the build quality in the car, around the car is concerned, the design, the curves, and how it's shaped really ticks that box for me. On the inside as well, the finish on the inside is nothing too plasticky or even cheapskates. Everything just flows quite nicely as far as the dash is concerned, and the other features in the Landtrek. It's really a vehicle that's one can appreciate. As far as power is concerned, on the two-wheel high gear and eco mode, yes, if you put your foot down, there's a bit of a delay before it starts to accelerate. But then the moment you put it into sports mode, just a little button there next to your gear lever, it changes. The beast inside the Landtrek comes to lights, and you have definitely a different experience because the gears are stretched quite longer, so it gives you a bit more rev and power in your throughout your gears. One thing I'm not sure of, and that's something that you have to ask Elton at CMH Peugeot Mshlanga or Paul, or even check that out on Google if you like, if it also changes the suspension. But like I said, in eco mode or in sports mode, going through bends, there's really you can find body shift, you moving in your seat a little bit, you can feel your body moving over. But as far as cage roll is concerned in the vehicle, it really sits on the road like any car would. So really, that's something that's I'm really impressed about. You used to have like cars with SUVs and so on, even buckies. That's you go through a bend and you feel like you're going to roll this thing. Not in this case. The Landtrek really sits quite nicely on the road. To highlight a few features also that I found quite useful. The infotainment system is quite large, nice and big, and I think it's got a 10 gig hard drive in there. You can sync your phone, Bluetooth, and also sync your contacts on there. I'm not going too much into detail as to what everything does, but you can take phone calls on this unit. You can have a navigation. It's got Apple CarPlay. It's got Android Auto. All those features are really part and parcel of the whole package. Music you can play through the unit as well. But other little features, like for instance at the bottom you've got your controls here, like for instance diff lock, and you've got downhill assist or decline assist, We haven't tested that yet. We'll do that and make you aware of how that works. That's traction control right there. You can switch it off. You have to hold it in for about 5 seconds before it goes off, and if you want to have it back on again, you just tap the button. And these are your controls for locking and unlocking the doors. And obviously you have your other buttons like hazard and so on. Here you have your USB, where you plug your phone in if you want to have your Android Auto, or for its Apple CarPlay, and a few other items as well. There is the 360 cam on the vehicle. That's when you park or you're busy maneuvering your vehicle, that you can see everything around the vehicle. It's got sensors and cameras on the rear or side view mirrors, on the front and the back. That really gives you a 360 view of everything that's around, especially when you go off-road and 4x4 up and down and through ruts and whatever. It shows you right next to the vehicle on the screen where your wheel is, where the front is, and where the back of the vehicle is. That's really, really useful, and a technology that I personally have not experienced in the past, because I drive a vehicle that doesn't have all those features. So that is really quite nice. Aircon in today's temperature, we're sitting with above 30 degrees down here in Durbs, and the aircon is nice and potent. No shying away on that side. But on the right hand side of the steering, you have your lane keep assist. We're going to test that in a little while, when the road is a bit more straight, because I believe that this curve might pose a challenge to that kind of technology. Who knows? But it really is a safe vehicle. I mean, I'm talking about safety. Brakes, very, very potent. I mean, you put your foot down, you squeeze that brake pedal, the vehicle comes to a good, solid stop. Then as far as airbags are concerned, you have your standard airbags in the steering. You also have your airbags at the top to the right hand side of my head and the head of the passenger, and also then the back as well. You have airbags at the heads and airbags for passengers behind the front seat headrests. The airbags are fitted there as a standard in this particular model. So it's a lot safer than the vehicle I'm driving, and I'm not going to say to you what I'm driving. You'll probably figure that out sometime. But it's really, if today the technology has changed so much, and you can really buy almost any car with real peace of mind. And I think Peugeot has done a sterling job in introducing the Landtrek to get into the same stable as the Ford Ranger, as the P series, as the Amarok, and the others in that category. This is a double cab, nice and spacious in the front, really comfortable. It really ticks the boxes. I'm really impressed with the technology they've put into. Although this might be a 1.9 liter diesel 4-cylinder turbo, it's got more than enough power to get you and your family where you need to. We don't have a hitch fitted to this vehicle, so we can't go and pull a horse box, for instance, with a horse or two horses in there to see how it holds up under that strain. But you be my guest. You do that with yours when you buy one. Alright, we are on the into southbound now, and I thought, well, let me switch on the lane keep assist and see how that works on the Landtrek. Now, it currently is on, and I'm going through a slight left-hand bend, and I know if I'm going to let go of the steering, then the vehicle will probably carry on straight and lose its way. What it does though is there's no feedback in the steering that kind of forces you back into the lane. If I start to veer over to a lane, let me just get past this one vehicle, then it puts off an alarm that warns you, and also visually on the dash warns you that you are drifting. So now I'm going to go over to another lane without indicating, so don't hop into that one, and then see what it does. Alright, here we go. There's a slight audible alarm and a red line that appears on the left hand side of the vehicle image on the dash, showing that I'm drifting. But now if I use, and there's no feedback on the steering, so it's not forcing me to stay in the lane. If I indicate now to do a lane change. There's no alarm and nothing, no audible, no visual alarm, because the system disables itself when you indicate to do a lane change. Just to mention something else, well, as far as this is an automatic gearbox, and I mentioned earlier that you can switch from two-wheel drive high gear, four-wheel drive high gear, and a four-wheel drive low gear. But also, if you really want to go over to a manual side, it's easy. Just tap off the gear lever to the right, and you can then change gear by pushing the lever forward or back to change down, or forward to change up, and then you're in control of your gearing. So it really gives you that versatility to change manual if you like, by just tapping it down. It's like your little levers on the steering wheel to tap a plus and minus to change gears up or down. So I've now pushed it back into the minus, and if I push it forward, it'll change gear, or you can just move it back again to the left, and it stays in full automatic, and the vehicle then changes gear for you as and when it needs to. So again, like I said, I'm on eco, so if we switch eco off, it'll go to a normal setting, a normal status on the vehicle. I probably eco is the way to go, because it saves on diesel. It's just more economical on the vehicle itself. And then you've got sports mode as well. So I'm just going to go back to eco, one little press on the button next to the gear lever, and you're back onto eco mode. Okay. Now you might have the question as to why would you buy a vehicle like this? Why would you buy a 4x4 or a 2x4? In this case, it's both. Why would you do that instead of buying a car? Now, I ride a motorcycle, I ride an adventure motorcycle. So in other words, where the tar ends, the adventure begins. And in this case, with this Landtrek, that nickname or name says it all, is where in South Africa's road conditions, it just absolutely warrants the purchase of a Bucky or a Landtrek. If the road stops, or the tar ends, or the road conditions are horrible, the suspension on this vehicle makes it a smooth ride for you, and you can take the family on a little bit of an adventure into a wildlife reserve, or you can really go where no other car can go, normal cars. So it's really versatile in that way. There's nothing stopping you. You don't have to just stick to tar. And these days, you want to get away from the freeways and the traffic. And what better way is to go off-road, go into the mountains, go into a wildlife reserve, just go on an adventure, take your family and go and drive where no other vehicle normally can. And for me, that's very important. I don't want to be restricted by the vehicle or necessarily the road. So this fits perfectly in that sense, that you can take this vehicle anywhere. You can really go road, you can do city driving, you can commute with the vehicle, because it has a nice eco mode that's good, fuel efficient. Oh, and this Landtrek's got an 80-liter diesel tank. So I think, if my calculations are correct, you can get around 700 kilometers on a tank, which is quite nice. Not mentioning our current fuel price. That is something for a different discussion. But yes, it's perfect for that person who really wants to get away from traffic and from city life.